This is the first of a series of videos on writing equations of lines given certain information. And the first thing I'd like to talk about is that there are basically a couple of different problems that we look at that all are the same problem, more or less, and that is write the equation of the line, and then you'll be given some information. And the information you might be given is that you might be given a point on the line and a slope, or you might be given 2 points on the line, or you might be given a point and a perpendicular line or a parallel line. And we think of these four problems together because the basic idea of how to solve the problems are the same. So it helps, first of all, then there's a couple of other problems that we'll deal with later in this videos. But the idea of all four of these is it helps essentially to think about what it looks like, right? So let's look at the first one, a point and a slope. So you have an XY graph, and you have that a line goes through a certain point and has a certain slope. So let's say you knew that the slope was this, so maybe that slope is, say, 2/3. And it could be a series of lines anywhere, but if it has a slope of 2/3 and it goes through this point exactly right here, you'll notice there's only one possible line that both has a slope of 2/3 and goes through this point. Right? Let's think about that a little more carefully. Let's say you just had the point. How many lines would go through that point? An infinite. There's one, and there's one, and there's one, and there's one, and there's one, right? Similarly, if you had only had the slope, how many lines have a slope of 2/3? Again, an infinite number. This one has a slope of 2/3, slope of 2/3, slope of 2/3, slope of 2/3, slope of 2/3. So given a point and a slope, you can only determine a unique line if you're given both. And that's how we solve that problem. That's what we mean when we say write the equation line given a point and a slope, write the equation of the only line that goes through that point and has that slope. Let's go to the next one, 2 points on the line. If we have, this is just simple geometry. If you're given 2 points, how many lines go through both this point and this point? Just one. Now we're going to be doing it algebraically, but we can see it geometrically. Similarly, let's say you're given a point and a perpendicular line or a parallel line. Let's do it with a point and a perpendicular line. Right? So here we have an XY graph. Let's say we're given some line. And we know that we want to find the equation line that's perpendicular to this line. Well, it could roughly be, say, right here, or there, or there, or there. But if we're further given the information that's perpendicular line and goes through this point, you notice in that case there will be only one such line that both forms a 90-degree angle with this line, that's the definition of perpendicular, and goes through that particular point. So how do we solve these? Well, what we have to do is we have to memorize for each one of these a formula. Luckily, the formula is the same for each one. If we're given a point slope, we use point slope formula. If we're given 2 points on the line, point slope formula. If we're given a point and a parallel line, point slope formula. A point and a perpendicular line, point slope formula. So for all of them, we're going to use what's called the point slope formula. And that's let's write down what the point slope formula is. The point slope formula is y minus y1 is equal to m parentheses x minus x1. And the following video will go over exactly how we use the point slope formula in each one of these particular problems.